Hey everybody, Eric Schweitzer here for TheGamer. Today we're taking a look at my recent trip to Japan to play Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm here with Meg Policcio. Hi Meg.
Hello.
This is the second video we've done for Wilds. You and I talked about a preview we did. Was it during Gamescom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I played was similar but very different. I'm excited to talk to you about it. Sort of just to outline what this event was. Capcom brought a bunch of journalists and content creators to Osaka to the Capcom office. We played the game from the beginning for about 5 hours, I want to say. So just straight through the first 5 hours of the game. And then we did a tour of the studio. We saw a motion capture demonstration, which was incredible, a performance capture. I did not know this, but they can render the motion capture in real time in the RE engine.
Oh my
So it
god.
looks like gameplay. Like they have performers swinging swords, moving around like monsters, like galloping around on the floor, and you're looking at a screen and it just looks like Monster, like the game, like
Oh, that's
Wilds.
so incredible.
It was amazing. Yeah. So we did that. Then we went into a recording booth and they showed us how they like lay down tracks and add elements to the score. They played the like theme song for the new game and showed us how they like add some piano elements and synthesizers and stuff to it. That was really fun. And then we went into the Foley booth and they showed us a bunch of like pipe wrench instruments that they made to make different monster sounds. Like to invent new
Oh.
monster sounds, they created new instruments.
What was
And
like the
that
weirdest one?
they had this like trombone thing. It was like two pipes that they would slide against each other and blow into it and it would make this crazy
Imagine having that as a job. You've just got to
industrial
make stuff to make monster sounds.
so cool. Yeah, so cool. So they showed us the apex monster in that first zone from the beta, the lightning guy. They
Yeah.
showed us how they made his voice by layering in these different weird instruments. They had another really cool one where they would stand on this like like bellows like for your fireplace.
Yeah.
They had that with like a tube plugged into it, and when they step on it, air would shoot through the tube and make a crazy sound at the end of it.
That's
Yeah.
so weird.
So it was a super cool trip, super cool to learn more about the game. I did an interview with the developers. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things they revealed. But first, I want to tell you about what I played, because there were some surprises in there.
Oh.
So the demo that you played at Gamescom, I played before Gamescom, and then they showed at PAX West.
Yeah.
Everybody played that, and then the open beta test that they had a couple weeks ago was kind of an expanded version of that playtest.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to play that open
I
beta?
didn't, sadly.
Okay.
I was. Yeah.
It was really similar to what we already played. But it turns out that I didn't realize this when I like played the beta and when I did those tests before, but that was a vertical slice, because the way you meet those monsters and like do those initial hunts and get those tutorials is really different in the game.
Oh.
So you still have that sort of cinematic intro where you are where all of the guys are jumping out of the sand and they're leaping at you and you're riding across the like desert. All of that is still how the game opens. But then like narratively and how the monsters are introduced is really different from how it was in that test. But I think my biggest takeaway, two things. One is that the game feel has changed a lot since that open beta test, and particular weapon movesets have changed a lot since that test. And that test was to get like playability and game feel feedback to incorporate into the launch version. So like, which is really cool because that test is only a month or two from launch, but already in the version I played, it was so different.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, my big takeaway from this was this game is so story focused. so cinematic focused. And I don't know how I feel about that right now because, like, I think the story of in Monster Hunter games is a weakness. I think that it is been a shortcoming of the series that there's really nothing there, right? Like,
Yeah, oh god, yeah. I couldn't tell you really what happens narratively in past Monster Hunter games. It always ends with there's a big monster.
yes, there's monsters, they're getting into trouble, we're going to go kill them. Oh, there's a mysterious monster, we never heard of this one, we need to go learn
Yeah,
about it. Oh, this mysterious monster
it's
is
almost like
destroying the
like
ecosystem.
anime sagas, and it's just like redo it, and it's like, and there's a new thing to
Yes.
buy, and then it's like, but nothing really ever happens. It's just repeating.
Yeah, the characters don't matter. They all tell the same story.
Yeah,
And I do think that that is a shortcoming of the series. However, like over 20 years of playing Monster Hunter, I've come to accept that that's what Monster Hunter is, right? And I'm there for the grind, you know? Like,
yeah. So this could be a bit of a gamble, like because
yeah,
it could alienate long-term fans.
right. Or like I think of Worlds as this like huge pivot towards Western sensibilities,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like
they were definitely making it more mainstream with that one.
they did it on purpose.
Yeah,
That was the goal, and it hugely paid off. That game has sold almost 30 million copies. Like it's unbelievable how much of a jump Worlds was in terms of like financial success, commercial
yeah.
success. I mean, so like they took away a lot of the arcane stuff. They made it more approachable. They made it more streamlined, and that's what Worlds was. This is it's while it's not Worlds 2, right? Because it's doing lots of like new things with its sort of like open map concept and like all mainline Monster Hunter games, it has its own mechanics and style. But it is a sequel to World in the sense that this is another step towards like commercialability for the
It's
series,
like
right?
building on what it did in World.
It's like how do we get even more mainstream with Monster Hunter? And the answer they found was, well, we'll do what AAA games do and load it with big budget cutscenes. My God, is it loaded with big budget cutscenes?
But they look lush, right? I
Okay, they
remember like
look,
being impressed when I saw it at Gamescom.
yeah, they look great, but like I I was putting the controller down because I was just watching a movie.
Oh
Like,
no.
and they weren't like hour-long cutscenes, but they were constant. There were so many, and that is not my experience of Monster Hunter. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it is very different. And for like a multiplayer game, and you know they have said like that they've made a lot of effort to make it easier for people to play together, right? Because like the one of the big problems with World is that you had to like load into the world, look for the monster, watch the cutscenes, leave the mission, team up, like party up, and then go back in. And it was so that
Yeah,
was
it's just
such a
convoluted. It was so
so
daft.
convoluted. And then Rise didn't really solve that problem. It just split the campaign into two. It just had a
Mm.
single player story and a multiplayer story. Well, this one they're trying to make it more seamless so that you don't have to drop in and out to watch cutscenes. You're not going to hit those roadblocks where it's like this is a single player activity, but only until you see the cutscene and then. So, but also you're going to be sitting there watching cutscenes with your friends a lot. I'm pretty sure. Like,
Movie marathon.
yeah, there's a lot of story in this game, and
But is it a good story? I'll be more
that's
forgiving
the
of it if
question,
the
right?
story's good, right?
So so it is about people more than Monster Hunter ever has been before, right? It's about different societies and cultures. You're like a stranger in a strange land and you're learning about the cultures and customs of the people in that land. And the first people you meet are a culture that doesn't have the concept of a weapon, right? They see you like you save a guy, and the villagers see you fighting a monster, and they're like, "What? What is going on? Fighting the monsters?" in their society, like they're it's kind of cool. Their base camp is covered in these chimes, and the chimes make the sound of the apex monster,
Oh,
and it
okay.
and so it keeps the monsters away from them. So
Yeah.
they refer to your weapons as tools, and when they talk about you, they're like they have tools that we've never seen, and they are more capable of dealing with the monsters, but they don't have the concept of fighting or weapons. And that's really fascinating. How do a people not have the concept of a weapon, right?
Yeah, it is
And
a bit odd because like one of the first things like we did as like evolution is sharpen a stone or something, presumably.
yeah, yeah, right. So is there like that's the question? Is there more to it? Did they banish it? Are they like? Is it culturally that they just reject weapons and so they act as though they don't know what a weapon is, or do they truly are they truly baffled by the idea of a sharp stick? And I don't know if it really gets into that. I don't know if it goes deeper than these people don't know what weapons are.
It would be a bit odd if that we just genuinely have to believe that they've never considered. I mean, wait, what do they eat? Are they like vegetarian? Are
Yeah, they're
they like
vegetarian.
right?
Yeah,
Okay, because I was gonna be like,
yeah.
what? So they've never hunted? Like,
No, they've never hunted. Yeah, they don't. But not just they've never hunted. They don't have the concept of hunting. And yeah, so like that's it's either really interesting and cool, or it's just like a weird half baked idea that doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, it
And I
depends
don't.
what they do with it. That could be interesting, or it could be that annoying plot hole everyone picks at.
Right. How do these people not understand what a weapon is?
Yeah,
And so yeah, so the very beginning of the story, interestingly, sort of takes you between biomes. Like you're not just in the like desert. Um, I can't remember what that first zone is called.
no, I don't
Um,
remember either.
but you are very early bouncing back and forth between the desert and the jungle, going back and
I
forth.
like that though because then you're not getting bored of the same thing.
Right. And the story is driving you between them. Like there's a narrative pull to go here and there and back and forth. And it all happens organically. Like this is what Wild's sort of like unique premise is you're not just like going to the board, picking a mission, launching it, and then hunting for a monster. Like you are walking around with NPCs out in the open world. You're traveling on foot or on the secret from one base camp to another. You're escorting someone or following someone or racing to get somewhere because something bad happened. Like there's all these different paths from one place to another. Just something Monster Hunter's never ever had before, right?
Yeah,
Like people debate about like should you have to follow the tracks or should you just know where the monster is? But that's sort of the extent of what traversal in Monster Hunter has been. Whereas this one is like while it is not an open world game, it's like these distinct zones. It is structured like an open world game. So
I it like from what I played at Gamescom, I did really like that about it. The world felt more real as obviously a video game world can
yeah,
feel. It did feel more immersive. That it was, it felt less gameplay of just like I'm clicking this thing, I'm doing this, this box is popping up. And I imagine you saw more of that because there's like weather can like attract different monsters and stuff as well, right?
right. So that's another interesting thing. So like in that, I was talking about like the vertical slice of those demos and the beta, right? And how the weather was like always cycling. Well, because they wanted you to experience what the different weather systems were. In the 5 hours that I played, that happened one time, and it was story. It was connected to the story. So I don't know if once you get into it, like they're cycling regularly, but in this 5 hour opening, it just barely introduced the idea of different climate, different weather patterns.
So it might happen like more often after it's been introduced properly.
Yes, yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, but that wasn't like I forgot that was part of the game for a few hours until the first time there was a storm, and I was like, oh yeah, like the weather changes in this game. Yeah.
Yeah,
I fought a bunch of stuff. I didn't fight anything we haven't seen yet, so they've really carefully
they're
revealed the
keeping it under lock and
monsters.
key. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they've only revealed the early game monsters so far. But the ones I did fight were super cool. Um, Stuff I got to see that wasn't in that beta was the spider, the Lala Barina spider. Super cool fight. It is like this ballerina kind of spider, and you,
Okay.
yeah, it has a lair on in the jungle map, which is cool. It's like, you know how they have nests
Yeah.
in worlds, and this one is just like a big spider webs everywhere trapping people, and it is like moving its legs like a ballerina, kind of like it's dancing, and it's leaping around and coming crashing down, and it unleashes these like webby spores that will debuff you if they touch you. So it has almost like a bullet hell thing because the air is like full of all this junk that you don't want to touch. So that fight's really cool. I fought the Uthduna, which was like that manta ray kind of. Once it started raining, and then the jungle flooded, and then this creature came out, and I fought that monster until it fled. I didn't I didn't kill it. So just like kind of the way like Nergigante would work, but
Yeah.
obviously not a Nergigante level monster. And then the demo ended with the um, the Arkveld appearing. I did not fight it, you know, like the box art monster.
Yeah.
And the story is the story starts out with a kid in a village who's like tribe is attacked by the Arkveld. He gets separated. He gets picked up by your hunting party, and then you're trying to find his people to reunite them, and then figure out what this crazy strong monster is. And along that journey, you find this other group of people in the like desert plains, and those are the people that don't know what fighting is, or don't know what weapons are rather, and they're the ones that set you up with the secret mount.
How do they cut their vegetables? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, do they have like palicos still and stuff? Because like obviously they're all to do with cooking, and wouldn't they have told them about meat? And...
They don't have palicos.
oh, okay,
No.
fair, fair.
Yeah. I got to play that really cute scene where the palicos are trying to carry the meat and they're running away from. Oh man, what monster was it? I think it's a Dashiguma, but yeah, the three palicos are carrying the big piece of meat over their heads, and your palico runs up and kicks it, and then you start a fight with it. The talking
Nice.
palico, after 5 hours, I don't like. I'm switching. I'm really glad they give you the ability to
option.
switch it
Yeah.
back. I don't like it. I don't want them talking. I think part of it is I had pitched his voice. I had pitched his voice down too far because I wanted him to have a deep voice. I thought it'd be fun. But then he just sort of has this like digital, creepy. Every time he talked, it was scaring me.
Do you think there's a way to change it at any point?
I think so. Yeah, but don't pitch their voice down too much. They'll sound too weird. I didn't like that, but I'm probably just gonna switch mine to Palico, to Meow Meow language. Okay, and then in our interview, we touched on some important stuff. One was about hit stop. So after the beta, people were really disappointed that it seemed like there wasn't hit stop, or there wasn't enough hit stop, which is like kind of that pause, that dramatic pause before your weapon connects. They said don't worry, that's coming back. It's going to be better. It's especially for like the finishing hit of a combo. It's going to have that strong hit stop everybody likes. So that's good. They said there's 4 weapons that are going to be majorly overhauled before launch. So if you played Insect Glaive, Switch Axe, Lance, or Sword and Shield in the beta, and you felt like, I don't know about this, they're going to change it. Yeah, I was not vibing with Insect Glaive when I played it earlier, partly because they got rid of the vault dancing, like in the air, you can like bounce back and forth. That's back.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah. So I was bummed about that. I saw other people were like, what are they doing? What is Glaive now if you can't fly around through the air? But now you can. So they changed that. I can't speak to what they're doing to Switch Axe, Lance, and Sword and Shield, but they said those are getting big changes too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, a very kind of transparent interview, more so than a lot of games of this size typically are.
It sounds like they were giving you guys like a real kind of peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was cool to see, how everything's made. I also thought it was pretty interesting. They talked about the regional community managers, how like sort of each region has its own community manager, and they are collecting feedback and sort of treating the needs and interests of each region separately, and like deciding how to weigh those against each other when one region wants the game to be this way and another wants the game to be this way, and
Oh, interesting.
trying to balance all of that. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I asked him if the clutch claw or the wire bug is going to come back. They didn't rule it out. You know, they said they make each game, they make the mechanics for each game for that game, but that doesn't mean that we'll never see the clutch claw or the wire bugs again. So I thought that was cool. Yeah, I guess I guess I'm just curious if people are gonna vibe with a story-driven Monster Hunter. I mean, of course, it's at a certain point the story ends, and then you're just grinding kills, so it's not going to be that different, right?
If the story's really, really long, people might not get to the end point to get to like the gameplay they know and love.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, like the story has always been long. It just was.
It wasn't
shallow.
as much of a focal point.
Yeah. But this one, they think they've been convinced that AAA games have big AAA cutscenes, and that's what Monster Hunter needs to have. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
It can work. It absolutely can work. But it has to be more than just pretty. Don't get me wrong, the cutscenes, the game looks absolutely phenomenal, but there has to be substance behind how it looks. So if the story you're watching is kind of lackluster, I'm going to sit there bored. You'll quickly get over how pretty it looks, and then you'll just be sat there going, I just want to get to the next bit. But if the story's interesting, then you'll sit there and you'll enjoy it, so it'll be fine. So yeah, it depends how strong the narrative actually is.
Yeah. Too soon to tell. I was definitely putting down the controller and being like, when do I get to play this game? But also, I knew I only had a few hours there, and I wanted to see as much as I could. So I was like, definitely less inclined to sit and watch cutscenes. Especially because I couldn't record. I had to stop recording during the cutscenes and then start recording again during the fights. So even as we've been talking, I've been talking about cutscenes and showing battles. So, yeah.
Imagine the cutscene.
Imagine what these cutscenes are like. Okay, cool. This is coming out so soon, right? This is one of those big February games.
I mean, February is stacked.
Yeah, February is going to be outrageous. Yeah, a Game of the Year contender, but this is also a Grand Theft Auto year, so...
Plus, I kind of feel like games that come out earlier in the year, even if they're really strong, are kind of like forgotten about by the time Game of the Year is like being discussed.
Yeah, it's only on my mind because we're it's Game of the Year time. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. I love Monster Hunter so much, and I mean, it's great. Like I'm not complaining about anything yet. I just I'm wondering how everybody that already loves Monster Hunter is gonna vibe with the story, and at the same time wondering if the people jumping into Monster Hunter for the first time are going to get hooked because of the story. So
the funny thing about that is when people join and there's like obviously it's like a new iteration, if they then go, I really like this, I'm going to go back to some of the older games I've missed, it's obviously so different. And they're like, this is not what I played.
I know. That's always how it is, though. I mean, everybody that fell in love with Worlds, it was like, don't go back. Like, don't go play, Gen U or whatever. It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be another one of those, but we'll see. Okay. Thanks, Gamer. That's it for this video on Monster Hunter Wild. I have a full... preview linked down in the description Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's the gamer, no spaces.